What's up, guys? It's Hot Wheels Tournaments here with another video. Today I'm going to be releasing my predictions for the 2024 Matchbox Mainline moving parts and collector themed assortments. As you guys know, I'm a huge Matchbox fan. I go to the Matchbox Gathering every single year, and the main event is a dinner where head designer Abe Lugo reveals everything that Matchbox has planned. So that will be this Saturday. We will get that reveal, but just a few days out, I'm going to go ahead and give my predictions for everything I think we will see. Just some things to consider. These are cars I want to see. They aren't actually going to be released necessarily. Some of them may be right, some of them may be wrong, but these are my predictions. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let me know what you think, and let me know what cars you want to see in the comments down below. Now, I had a couple of friends who are also Matchbox collectors help me develop this list. I'll link their accounts down below. This first one, the Acura Integra Type S prediction, comes to us courtesy of Nick over at NMS Collection. This car personally makes a lot of sense, and I'm kind of shocked I didn't put it on my initial list. This car is not necessarily the most exciting looking. I know a lot of people who are fans of the original Integras back in the 90s and 2000s were really mad. You know, it didn't seem to live up to that initial Integra look, the stylish sportiness it had. Now, it may not look like the most exciting car, but under the hood, based off reviews and YouTube videos I've watched, I've never driven one. Apparently, it is a fantastic car. It's super sporty, it's super quick, it handles very well, and it also has that Acura luxury component along with it. So, not a super exciting looking car. It looks good, but it's not super exciting, but it's a very exciting car to drive. That fits the Matchbox MO very well. I would not be surprised to see this announced for this year. We follow that up with my first big supercar type vehicle of the list. Matchbox always does one or two of these a year, and I think this could very well be the one, the new Aston Martin DB12. As far as Aston Martins go in Matchbox, we've really only ever seen that DBS Volante, and that is a collector favorite. I think it is time for an update to that Aston Martin fleet. We saw the update to the Bentley Continental last year with the new Continental GT and moving parts. I think we could very well see that DBS get a refresh with the DB12 in the Matchbox lineup. Apparently, the new DB12 is a very good car. It certainly looks a lot more exciting and a lot better than the old DB11 it replaced it. So I think this is a perfect car to add to the Matchbox lineup and would fill out, in particular, the basic line very well. I'll follow the Aston Martin up with another supercar, and actually this isn't even a supercar, this is a hypercar, the Pagani Utopia. Now, we've seen Matchbox tackle Pagani before. We saw the Pagani Huayra in moving parts a few years ago. We've had a couple releases of that, and it is an absolutely fantastic casting. I would love to see them go out and take on the successor to the Huayra in the Utopia here. Obviously, I think this should be a moving parts car just as the Huayra was, and you can see why with this image with the X doors, the scissor doors, the opening rear, the opening front. The Huayra got the opening rear to see the engine. I think it would be cool if the Utopia could maybe get the doors as long as they're not plastic, but I think this one makes a lot of sense and I could see Matchbox doing it. We follow the Huayra up with something totally in the other direction with the Subaru Outback Wilderness. This prediction comes to us courtesy of my buddy Ezra B-Man1 over on Instagram. He is actually a Subaru salesman, so this pick makes a lot of sense from him. All in all, really cool car. I personally love Subarus. My family's owned Subarus all my life, so the more Subarus in the Mainline, the merrier. But again, this is Matchbox makes a lot of vehicles that kind of have unique things about them. They aren't quite their typical selves. Think the Porsche 911 Rally they've done in the past. Think the Fiat 500X they've done in the past. So the Outback Wilderness makes a lot of sense. I'd be really interested to see how they would do that metal body with that plastic base and the way it forms around the wheel wells. I think that would look really interesting. But this is one that makes a lot of sense in the Mainline, especially considering how good the Forester was that they released a few years ago. We're going to stay on the subject of Subaru and follow it up with the Subaru BRZ. This car makes the list for two reasons. One, because I really want to see a stock version of this in the Matchbox Mainline. We've never really gotten one from either the Mattel brands. Hot Wheels did the Pandem Drift one, which is cool and it's a great casting, but I really want a stock BRZ personally. I would take a Toyota 86, but I want the Subaru more. As I mentioned, I grew up with Toyotas. But that second reason I believe it could happen is because we've never seen a stock Subaru BRZ. I think it makes a lot of sense. The Subaru relationship is great. Personally, if I could choose a color, I'm thinking that baby blue that was really common and was, I believe, like the factory kind of preset color from the mid-2010s. It's now moved to more metallic, darker blue, as you see here. But the Subaru BRZ makes a lot of sense. I really, really want it. I've mentioned it, I think, to Abe a couple times that I want it. So I'm putting on this on the list, not just because I think it makes sense and could be a possibility, but really mainly because I want it, and this is me vouching for it to get a Matchbox Mainline. And before all my Toyota fans get mad at me for suggesting the BRZ over the 86, let's talk about the Toyota Corolla GR. This has been the talk of the car world for the last year. It has been the most fun budget car according to so many people who have driven it as far as automotive reviews go. It has been insanely popular, and while maybe not the coolest or sexiest car you've ever seen, it certainly has an aggressive look. There'd be a lot of fun in the Matchbox world. It's a really cool car in real life, and I think it makes too much sense not to do it. I'm really hoping Matchbox beats Hot Wheels to the punch this one and does it, because it's going to show up between one of the two brands at some point, and I hope it's the orange one instead of the blue one. We follow that up with what I believe to be another extremely fun and potentially possible option with the Lamborghini Huracan Serato. We know Matchbox has a good working relationship with Lamborghini. We saw the Centenario in Moving Parts a few years ago. The Lamborghini Aventador SVJ is coming out this year. We've also seen them do the Gallardo plenty of times. This is just Matchbox written all over. It's not the base Huracan. It's the rally offshoot, different version they made. And as mentioned earlier, Matchbox loves to do these weird, unique vehicles. And while this is a Lamborghini and maybe not weird, it certainly is unique and fits the Matchbox lineup perfectly, in my opinion. Now we move into the electric cars. I have predicted Mattel sets a mandate for Matchbox and Hot Wheels that a certain number of their new models, certain percentage, have to be electric. So we lead off with the BMW i4. BMW and Matchbox have a great working relationship. We've seen a lot of the i-Series already. We've seen the i8. We've seen the i3. We've actually seen the i8 twice, I should say. I think the i4 then is the next logical step. It's been out a little bit now. It's certainly something they're going to add. It would fill one of those electric slots nicely. BMW, electric, those are two check marks that certainly fit the Matchbox mold. So I expect to see this one. I would actually be pretty surprised if we didn't at the gathering this year. Moving on from that, I expect the Cadillac Celestiq will also be seen here in the 2024 line. Matchbox and Cadillac have had a great working relationship as well. We've seen the CTS 5V Blackwing before, the Cadillac One, the Cadillac Escalade. Cadillacs have been a staple of the Matchbox line for a little while now, and I think the Celestiq is just the next step. This is a car that would be a lot of fun and really cool to have, considering it is Cadillac's big $300,000, something like that, ultra luxury car. It has a really unique silhouette that I would think would bring a lot of excitement and a lot of difference and something new that we haven't really seen before in the car world, and bringing that to the diecast world would make a lot of sense. So I certainly expected to see this one. I hope to see this one. I think it would be really, really awesome if they were to do it. We follow that with the first electric SUV. I'm going to predict the Fisker Ocean. We saw the reintroduction of Fisker last year, and they now have an SUV coming out, so this just makes too much sense. Matchbox has done a lot of SUV EVs the last couple of years. Think the Audi e-tron, Mustang Mach-E, Volkswagen ID4, just to name a few. The Fisker Ocean would make sense as the next car that can follow in their footsteps and be added to the mainline. Matchbox is developing quite the fleet of EV SUVs, and this is the first of a couple I expect. So the Fisker Ocean, add it to the list. I also expect to see the Lotus Electre. We saw Hot Wheels do the Lotus Emira and the Lotus Evija last year. We know Matchbox has done some fantastic Lotuses in the past, in the Exige, in the Evora. I really wish they would have gotten the Evija and Emira, but I suspect the blue brand called dibs and said, no, we're going to do those. That's fine. If they can do the Electre SUV, they can add to that fleet as well. I fully expect to see that one. That's probably the car I think is the most likely off this list, is the Lotus Electre. This next prediction comes courtesy of Nick at Cars on Paper. It is the new generation Toyota Prius. We saw the Prius earlier, like a while back, we saw the base Prius. We saw it converted into a taxi cab Prius. It was a very popular staple of the Matchbox lineup, and the new Prius makes a lot of sense. Now, I don't know if this officially would count as an EV since it is a hybrid. I'm not exactly sure how that would work. I believe it has to be a full EV, so I don't think the hybrid counts. But I think this one is highly likely for the Matchbox lineup. It makes a lot of sense. And again, one of those, I'm shocked I didn't think of it to put up my list, but when I heard it, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I could totally see it in the Matchbox line for 2024. And last but not least, it's the Genesis G80, the ultimate luxury EV sedan on the market right now. I expect one of the Mattel brands to find a way to get a marketing deal struck here so they can do it. It would make a lot of sense. With the EVs, sometimes it's so easy to get sucked into all the SUVs and just do those because pretty much every brand that's developing EVs right now is doing EV SUVs. So I would hope that the Matchbox team is looking for other routes, looking for other things they can do to widen that lineup. And the Genesis G80 seems like a great place to start to bring a sedan into the lineup. Because right now, as far as EVs goes, it's like SUVs, really ultra rare boutique supercars and hypercars, and like not really anything in between. So I hope they find a way to do that. Anyways, that's all for now, guys. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I hope you like the content. If you have suggestions, if you have predictions, throw them down in the comments section below and let me know what you think. I will see y'all later. Peace.